And guys, this project is giving me headaches. That might be the opening bit. Welcome to a week in the life of an architect, also known as the weekly wrap-up. I'm your host, Tyler, the non-licensed architect. I'm a designer in an architecture firm. I'm not a licensed architect yet, but I am working on taking my exams. That's what all those books back there are for. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by. I post weekly updates of what it's like to work in an architecture office, as well as other things related to architecture and design. So if you find that kind of stuff interesting, consider subscribing down below and let me know what else you want to see from me. All right, so let's get into this week's work. So on last week's episode of the weekly wrap-up, you saw that I was starting 4 new school projects, 3 middle schools and 1 elementary school. So what we were doing to these schools is we were upgrading the entrance so that way the public that's coming onto campus is forced to go straight to the administration building rather than being able to kind of get on campus and walk through the campus a little bit. So the fence line that used to be along the front of the school, along the sidewalk, was kind of a barrier, and it didn't give the public a real clear way how to get to the administration building. They just knew that they had to go through the front gates, and they sort of walked through campus a little bit to find the administration building. So what we're doing now is we're tearing down the fence line at the front of the campus along that border, and we're putting back new fences that sort of direct everybody coming onto the campus through the public. Those fence lines will sort of direct them in towards the administration building now. Well, the problem with these administration buildings, the way they're designed, is there is no real defined entrance to them. That's a really important design strategy in architecture, is you should be able to identify the entrance to a building just by looking at it and walking towards it. So our job is to design the main entrance of the administration building to be clearly identifiable by the public. And we're going to do this by designing a shaded canopy roof structure right outside the main entry door. They'll be able to easily recognize that that's the main entry right there. That canopy with the main doors right underneath it, that's the entrance to the administration building. I haven't quite gotten to designing these canopy roof structures yet, but next week I'll probably be getting into that, and that's going to be a fun exercise. On some of these projects, we're going to be doing some work inside the administration building itself to reconfigure some of the spaces and some of the offices. So one of these administration buildings actually presented a pretty big challenge for us. This involved a lot of sketching and space planning, which is the more fun part of my job, but I don't usually get to do it that often. On the south side of the building, we had the counselor's office and the registration office. And on the north side, we had the principal's office and the office manager. And we needed to flip those 2 things around. In order to be able to flip these offices around, we had to tear down some existing walls on the inside and sort of reconfigure some spaces. And the more challenging part of this is knowing which walls I can tear down and which walls I can't. So in order to know which walls have to stay and which walls I can tear out, I have to look at the structural drawings from the original construction of this building. So now that I have the new layout for the administration building designed, I'll send this to the principal of the school, and she'll look over it with her staff and check to make sure that everything functions and works the way they need it to. Another one of these school projects that's actually really interesting is the one elementary school that we're working on. And what we're doing with this one is we're taking the library and we're actually putting the administration offices into the library. The library is actually located in an ideal location where we could make the front of the school. So what we're doing with this one is we're reorienting where the front of the school is. It used to be off of one street, now we're going to make it off of another one. We're going to take the people out of the administration building and we're going to build new offices for them inside the library. This one's a really fun exercise for reconfiguring existing interior spaces, but we don't have the same challenge as the last project where I had to tear down existing walls. The space that we're using to make the new administration offices is actually just a big wide open space. All we have to do is go in and put in new walls to create the new offices. We're gonna get these schematic design packages sent out to the schools, and they're gonna be able to review them and then give us comments back. I have one more not so fun bonus task that I had to do this week. The first episode of the weekly wrap up, I showed my project that was under construction that I had to go visit. This project is giving me a headache. I'm just gonna call it the adult daycare project because that's what the interior renovation of this building is gonna be. It's gonna end up being an adult daycare facility. There's always issues that come up when you have to renovate an existing building, and so you have to deal with those problems as they come up. So what happened with this project is I reviewed a plumbing submittal. So the contractor sent me a submittal for the sinks that were gonna be installed in the project. They sent the wrong sinks, but I accepted them anyways because they were gonna work for what we needed. Contractor had tried to come back and say that I made a change to the sinks and they were gonna charge us an extra $300. Oh hell no! So I had to deal with that. That's never fun, but I resolved it. And yeah, this project is giving me some headaches. So when a project's under construction, I'm usually under high stress. And that's because the money is real and the deadlines are really real. I hate to have something that I made a mistake on end up costing the owner more money or delaying the project. It's just not a good feeling for me. I'll probably be talking about this project a little bit more over the next couple weeks since this project will be under construction until November. I actually have a meeting out on site next week for this project to go over some electrical issues that we have to resolve before they start putting in the lights. So that's gonna be it for this week's episode. Stay tuned for next week's episode to see more headaches from my daycare facility project and hopefully some more cool design work for these school projects. I'm gonna be getting into designing those roof canopy structures at the main entrance. So that's gonna be a fun exercise once I get those designed. So that's it for the weekly wrap up. Thanks again for watching and I'll see you in the next one.